So we make no reference to the fact that we've recorded this once already? Or
Yeah, no reference at all. This current conversation is not going to be included in the beginning of the video whatsoever. If it is, there's some grave error on my part. And
there's never grave errors in your videos. I'm sure it's fine.
No, yeah, of course. No, yeah. We recorded this before. I have to record again because my audio was completely messed up. I'd been recording off of my camera, I think, and so the quality was beyond poor. So I'm doing this again.
I kind of want to see what that was like in the end. Can you do? Oh no, never mind. I'm not going to make extra work for you.
No, I'm just gonna say that we're redoing this because obviously, as you could all tell from my builds, I am a perfectionist.
Indeed. Indeed. So it's good to be back for Boots Bad Builds.
That's right, Boots Bad Builds.
So,
do.
Wait, let me ask you then. Let me ask you. Last time we recorded this was about a month ago. We did a thief one as well. Is that also gone, or is that?
That is also gone. We will re-record the thief one another time though.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. Damn, I want to do some more recording, maybe some more tweaking with it.
Okay, cool. Well, so today we are looking at the newest, the latest and greatest. The Warrior.
And what's good? I mean, but first of all, I'd just like to bring up the fact it's been a little while, and in the time that I have not recorded a video, I've been recording stuff with you, but more importantly, something called build templates has come into the game.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, you can integrate that into the series
now. That's right, I can. I can put a link with the actual build and gear template links down at the bottom. In fact, that's why we're back, because now that build templates are in, we have to fill them all entirely with Boots Bad Build builds.
Oh, so we get an excuse to do a new collection kind of thing.
That's right.
A 2019, 2020, I guess, right? As it goes forward.
Yeah, that's right. Got to catch them all.
The new collection. So the question is, what elite spec are we playing on this one? Since we have actually covered a Berserker one before, and we have covered a Spellbreaker one.
We are going to do so. In order to catch all Boots Bad Build builds, we're going back in time. And we have to readdress every single build I've done in the past and update it for the current atmosphere, the current actual traits that are in game, and see if it actually works or not. Whether it's worth it to be included in our repertoire, our menagerie of builds.
So like a fresh twist on a concept you have talked about before.
Yeah, kind of. So what the deal is that I think it's like 36 or something builds. Some of them are good. Some of them are completely dead because just traits have completely changed since we started.
Like the Engineer Downstate
build. The Engineer Downstate build, like the Mesmer Res build. Although, I mean, we have a balance patch coming up pretty soon that might change that slightly, but it's going to be completely different, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's the deal. That's what's going to happen. So I'm going to look at every build that I've done in the past. Maybe update the audience without you for the ones that cannot be revived.
Okay.
And for the ones that can be revived in some new state, I will pass it by you, and we're going to talk about it, and then I'll provide the link, and you'll have your very own updated, good Boots Bad build.
Dude, this sounds really good. So we're starting with the Warrior.
We are starting with the Warrior, and the build that we are addressing today is the Might Makes Right build.
All right. Okay. So my memory of this is you spam Might, and the idea is there's a Strength Grandmaster trait, which means whenever you get Might, you get heals and endurance.
That's right. And back in the day, the endurance was like 5 endurance per Might. Yeah. Which was...
And you did a version where you would dodge on people, which gave you Might, which gave you endurance, which gave you dodges, which gave you Might.
Yeah, but more importantly, it had Rune of the Mad King on it.
More importantly, it had
Rune of the Mad King. So when you had your great sword and you used your Rune of the Mad King and the birds hit all your guys, you could just spam dodge for like 6 seconds straight and be happy.
Cool interaction.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
But now,
so we're still using that idea, are we?
We are using now elements.
It's with loads of other stuff.
We're losing elements of that idea, but it's got updated because of obviously things have changed since then, but also because in the last balance patch, the one before this one, they completely overhauled the tactics line.
They did. Yes, of course, because tactics is like, and there's I have an idea maybe.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying the issue is that the Mad King, sorry, not the Mad King, the Might Makes Right build that we did previously, I think I passed by you saying, look, you really only need 2 interesting lines from this, and then your third line could be any of these 3 other lines.
Right.
But now, tactics has gotten so synergistic with the strength and Might Makes Right line that it's the one that has to go with the strength Might Makes Right. So now we've got those 2, and then the third one is the one that I'm using. I'll tell you about it.
Okay. Break it down for me in simple terms. What are our specializations, and what are our synergies? But we're working around might, right?
Right. We have become a core warrior.
Okay, so no Spellbreaker, no Berserker.
No Spellbreaker. Although Spellbreaker can be used instead of one of the lines, not tactics or strength. Or
I guess we'll get to that later.
Get to that later, but I prefer this version way more. And also, it's always great to be core because then it's accessible to everyone.
It's true. Good free-to-play build. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what am I slotting here? Where do we start?
Okay, let's give it a go. So we are going strength, tactics, discipline.
Okay, strength, tactics, and discipline. All right. Goodbye,
Before we start, I would just like to point out that after we did that failed recording to begin with, I played this bit, like I was only doing unranked before that, but I then decided to play some ranked, and I've gotten 30 games or so in under my belt, and I am plat ranked, right? I think I'm like, just based on my rank is top 50 in NA, which is nothing that impressive.
No,
frankly.
No, you should own that. Look, you can tell people that this build, you got top 50 NA on this build. You can tell people that if it's true. Why not? Own it.
But again, it's because I started so late in the season. It's not the.
No. Top 50 is top 50, dude. There you go. So look, or at the very least, if you want to be conservative, Boots got plat on this build. So, and we never really explained that. You do think of this as more of a PvP concept, right? Applicable to other areas.
I guess so, but no, you could totally use it. You could totally use it anywhere in the game, frankly.
Okay, all right, but it does have legs, as according to Boots' progress is. So that's good.
Yeah, I'd say the only place you can't use it is raids.
All right.
So here we go. So strength. Obviously, you probably know what's going on in strength, right?
Strength is a line that has a lot of might synergy.
That is right, and it is not really changing from the old build. You're still taking your Might Makes Right.
So that's the Grandmaster.
Grandmaster, that's right. Might Makes Right. It's down to 2 endurance gain instead of 5 when it first came out. But you're going to be getting a lot more might than you used to. So it's still going to be giving you a lot of dodges. So most of your damage mitigation with this build is going to be dodging everything you see.
Okay. And you also heal with might as well. So the build tries to get lots of might to get dodges and healing.
That is correct.
Okay.
And the base is usually 133, but with my gear it is 150. Nice little boost for that. Then we go further down. You have Pinnacle of Strength. Your might applies to you, gives you more power. That's great because this is a power build.
Nice.
And then your major trait is Forceful Greatsword.
Any crit you do on any weapon gives you might.
50% chance.
And then also on Greatsword,
it's 100% chance.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's giving you a bunch of power and reduces the recharge of your Greatsword skills.
It's like a triple trait right there.
It's a pretty damn good trait, especially when you got Might Makes Right.
Yep.
And then you've got, for your adept trait is Peak Performance.
Right, so physical skills we can spam more. They give us damage when a damage bonus after they've been used, and lots of them are CCs, which set up damage afterwards.
That's right.
As well.
That's right.
Okay.
So there's going to be a change to peak performance and another skill that you're going to be using in this build coming up. I don't know if this video is coming up before or after that change hits. And that is, the change is that
the full damage
is gone. The bonus to physical skills is less than what it is currently. I think it's gonna be 7% instead of 10, but you get 3 built-in flat. Yep. But then more importantly, your rampage, although still useful, is doing a little bit less damage.
Yes.
So I think you're still gonna be running it with your rampage. But it's possible that you might want to instead run some other trait, although the other traits are not quite as good. So maybe not.
Yeah, you're going to use this.
Yeah, you're probably going to use this. But then we've got, let's go with the Discipline line next.
Discipline. So this is kind of the Warrior's 5th line, just gives you general stuff, fast hands. And there's some might
fast
stuff.
hands is damn fun, damn good. You could do some nice sigil swap cheese stuff. In PvP, it's not quite as strong with the sigil swap, but it's still good. But fast hands is just so good. So then we've got warrior sprint as your adept.
Okay.
Just getting around faster, removes immobilize. You have a lot of movement skills with this build.
Yeah, this is really crazy. That Mobrip's nuts.
It's nuts. And then Brawler's Recovery, obviously very PvP focused. You're going to be swapping weapons basically every 5 seconds if you're doing it properly. And you're going to be removing conditions every time you do that. And it's very strong.
Yeah, I love Brawler's Recovery.
Yeah. Same thing with Versatile Power. It gives you might when you swap. And then finally, you've got Axe Mastery, because on your other set, you're using Axe.
So, Axe Mastery is interesting. It always gives you ferocity, even if there's 0 axes on your build, right?
Yes.
But then if you have axes, it's even more ferocity.
Yeah, so up to 360 ferocity.
It's crazy. And then also, another really nice thing about this Grandmaster is how much adrenaline it gives you. I really feel lacking adrenaline sometimes on some warrior builds, and then you take Axe Mastery and you just feel...
And you just have more adrenaline than you'll ever get.
Yeah, it's really good. I know that the tooltip only reads 2 guys, but it's really strong.
2 per hit, and especially with your Whirling Axe, your last one, it is 15 hits really quickly, especially because you're going to be using your Dual Strike beforehand, which gives you quickness. So that's 30 adrenaline. That's full adrenaline right there.
Yeah, very good.
Where was I? All right. So, but on top of that, the reason why you're taking Axe Mastery, yes, it's your damage, weapon set, and giving you a ton of ferocity. It deals a lot of damage already, and on top of that, it does a ton of little hits as well. Frankly, they're big hits, but it does a ton of hits, which means that even though it's not Greatsword with Forceful Greatsword, because there's so many of these hits, and you're getting crits on them a lot, you are going to be getting might from this weapon set quite often.
Right.
As opposed to more slow weapons that you'll get might less often.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the Forceful Greatsword combo into all these just means lots of might.
Exactly. And then, last but not least, is tactics.
Okay, so this is the new stuff, right? This is a lot of this was reworked, and I do know that there's something really similar about might on this.
Yeah, so a trait that came in the last balance patch with the rework is Mending Might. When we first saw it, it was a placeholder explanation for it, and it was something along the lines of... Actually, it was so hard to do. I think it was just also written wrong. Yeah. It was like, when might, heal.
Yeah,
or something like
something
that.
really generic and hard to figure out what the hell they were talking about. I remember for sure, yeah.
So we know what it is now, and it is whenever you apply might to an ally, including yourself, you heal yourself.
Yeah.
So just looking at this at first, I was like, wow, this could be really strong. Before they released how much it would be healing you, I was like, this has to be a very small amount of health, otherwise it's going to get insane. With like Phalanx Strength, you could take for Great Justice and then, do 100.
Yeah, so tell people how much for Great Justice is, especially in PvP. 1 cast.
So PvP World versus World, it's 12 might to you and your allies. So 5 times 12. That's 60 might.
Just from pressing.
And if you had Phalanx Strength, if you have those 5 allies, if you have Phalanx Strength, that's another 60 might on top of that.
So you press 1 shout, you get 120 might. It's also ammunition based, and you can double cast it. So
yeah, you can do it every 5 seconds, essentially.
So that tooltip where it says, for me, 69, you're timesing that by 120 just for pressing 1 utility skill that recharges reasonably quickly. It's like a heal skill.
Which is like 8,400 health.
Yeah.
And that's with no healing power.
It's very ridiculous. Very ridiculous, for sure.
Very ridiculous. I thought it had to be a little bit lower healing than this, but this is not insane healing as it is. Because, it does scale tremendously with the amount of allies you have with you. So, that particular Phalanx Strength for Great Justice combo. So in World versus World, you might be running that instead of what I'm currently running. Because, if you're at the Zerg or something, you pop 1 for Great Justice and you'll probably full heal.
Yeah.
If you have just a little bit of a little healing power.
Yep, and it's also a sight to behold as well. I don't know if you've got any footage of it, Boots. But it's hilarious to see a billion green numbers spike around your character on the UI. It's very, very, very funny to look at. That can't be good for the game and the servers, to be honest. It's such a crazy combo. It can't be good to have something proc that insane.
But think about that also, okay? So this is Mending Might 77 per target, 120 targets. 120 might, 8,500 essentially, more because I have some healing power, just with that. But then when you combo it with, you have it with the Might Wake Strike on top of that, you're healing, you're doing another 12 might on you, so that's another 2,000 something. Yeah, it's an insane amount of might.
It's very crazy.
Insane amount of healing.
So this is all fun and new, right? And that's just one of the passives, the one of the miners. So what are we picking, Boots? What are we doing here?
Right, okay, so yeah, anyway, when I saw this, I was like, okay, I guess tactics has to go with strength now, and I've got to do this build again. But what are we doing besides that? Actually, shouts, believe it or not.
Right, which for Great Justice is one, so...
Exactly, for Great Justice is one. Also, Shake It Off is a very strong shout nowadays. It's almost mandatory in some cases.
I really like that.
Yeah, it removes 6 conditions from you and your allies and break stuns.
Yeah.
And it's on a what's it called? Charge system as well.
Yeah, so you can double cast it pretty much 5 second back to back. It does have a really long count recharge. But the way that the game is played,
when you're running the traits now, Vigorous Shouts, for example, it's reduced by 20%, so that's 40 second instead of 50 second charge reduction. I mean, count recharge.
Yeah, and extra heals.
And extra heals. So this Vigorous Shouts, now they added a bit to it. They said now, on top of the stuff it had before, you also gain healing power based on a percentage of your power.
Which is really nice.
Which is really nice. With the power build, you're going to get a good amount of healing power, like around 300.
Even without any power at all as well, guys, you always have 1,000 power. All characters have 1,000.
Yeah, so that's already 130.
Yeah, it's always plus 130 heal power. And then it's just more and more and more and more. So,
exactly.
Cool.
So, and then on top of that, of course, you have the healing whenever you use a shout. And if you don't have any healing power with your build, it's like 1,500 essentially. But if you do have just a little bit of healing power, it gets to like 2,000. If you go full healing, it's like 2,500. It's nothing to scoff at, really. It's pretty powerful.
So then, I can see here, basically, a lot of this line is making you really tanky and sturdy, which complements some of the crazy damage you put from your axes and stuff.
Exactly. And then on top of that, for your major trait, you go Shrug It Off, which just synergizes as well. You use, it's that same thing as we had before. You use Shake It Off automatically when you have a number of conditions, which is 1, which removes damaging condition from an ally and heal them. It's not exactly the same as Shake It Off because it's Shrug It Off, you only remove 1 condition. But because you're traded for it, you heal yourself for another 2,000 and you break stuns.
And then it's got that extra thing, right?
Right, so that's the interesting thing that just got added with tactics, which is every time you remove a condition from an ally, it heals them. So, with this built-in automatic Shake It Off, you'll heal an additional 700 essentially.
Right.
And every time you remove conditions from allies as well. But if you look at your real Shake It Off, that's potentially 6 conditions times 700, which is like 4,000 health you heal.
Yeah, so you get basically massive heals out of FGS and out of Shake It Off. If you're in a really Condi-heavy environment, you're like really pulsing people's health up. You want them to kind of be Condied a lot so that you just rip them all off and heal them really hard up as well.
Yeah, I've been consistently, if not every single match I've been doing in competitive, getting the top healing stat on.
I believe it for sure.
Yeah. So right now, because of these two things and for Great Justice and Shake It Off, you are very tanky with your dodges as well. And then finally, we go Leg Specialist as your Adept, which is just strong because you have cripples on both of your weapon sets. One's on a charge mechanic.
Yeah, that Axe 3 ranged cripple is so good. It's really nice.
It's very strong. It's very strong, and it's just great because, as a melee character, you have, Axe, Greatsword. Yes, you have some mobility with Greatsword, and yeah, you have a utility skill that you could use to give you some more mobility. But when you're fighting people rather than PvE stuff, it's just so important to be able to lock them down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that. You really feel the pain of that. A lot of these core warriors running around using leg specialists. It's like such a staple. Also, you don't have a warhorn, so that trait's not any good. And then Soldier's Comfort isn't even that renewably coming back up.
Exactly. Warhorn's interesting. I don't feel it's that necessary right now. At least not for PvP.
Okay, that's fair.
So that is the build. The utility skills are as follows: for Great Justice, Shake It Off. I use Rampage, and I am now using Bull's Charge. I was originally using On My Mark, which is another heal, and it reveals your targets and applies vulnerability to them. So if you're fighting a lot of thieves, for example, you might want to use this for some reason. But if you're not fighting a ton of thieves, then yeah, Bull's Charge is just so strong.
Okay.
So, and then my heal skill, people have been giving me a lot of flack over it, but I don't care. I'm using Mending.
Oh, so, alright, fair enough. What's your justification for Mending? You like it with the trait?
I like it with the trait. Well, first of all, you got your peak performance, your extra damage. Its cooldown is down to 12 seconds, so you could use it even just for the utility of the conditions it removed sometimes if you wanted to. And then on top of that, it removes those conditions. So on top of healing 7,500 on a 12-second cooldown, it could be an additional 2,000.
Okay, that's fair enough. So what about your gear? What are you running with gear?
Right. So as you've probably seen from what I've been showing you, the healing is a little bit higher than base, which means I'm using an amulet that has a little bit of healing power in it, which is the Avatar Amulet.
Okay, so whenever I see Avatar Amulet, it always makes me think of the old Druid builds. So you get power, precision, better health on there, and healing power, just a little bit. It's a good amulet.
That's right.
It's a good hybrid amulet.
So the healing power, yeah, it brings your shout heals up to a nice around 2,000. Also significantly buffs, all of the might healing you're doing. Gives you a little bit more vitality, so you're not quite as squishy if you don't dodge properly. But more importantly, this precision, the 1050 precision, is very important for the might that you're going to be generating on crits from your axes and your sword, your great sword.
And a crit is good. It's 150% more damage, even with no ferocity.
And a crit is good. Yeah, you're going to be getting ferocity from your axes, so you're going to want those to crit.
Yeah. Okay.
And of course, for your rune, you have to use Rune of the Soldier, sorry.
Rune of the Soldier, because you have shouts, so you like the.
Because you've got those shouts, exactly.
So
a little more vitality, a little more toughness. Actually, a lot more toughness.
So this is a cool combo here. The cleanse from the rune proc will then trigger the heal from the Shrug It Off trait.
That's right. So every time you cast a shout, no matter what, including your for Great Justice, you're getting an additional 700 healing, as well as giving 700 healing to your allies.
Yeah. And that's kind of nice as well. People might not think about it, but sometimes you just have like some random weakness on you. You're not like against a Condi, you're not in a big Condi fight or anything, but you do have a bit of weakness there, or a bit of a mauve suddenly has hit you, or a blind somewhere. And now when you just for Great Justice, and you can be sure that's gone, and you're not going to be getting these irritating glancing blows, I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, so that because of all of this synergy for removing conditions and healing yourself, some of the biggest scourges of PvP these days are like Condi Thieves and Condi Mesmers, and this deals with them pretty well, unless they're very, very, very good.
Interesting. Okay, so this is a warrior build that's actually going toe-to-toe against Mirage quite comfortably.
Yeah.
That's really good. A lot of warriors would like to hear that, because warriors really struggle with Mirage and don't deal well with those situations.
Right. I mean, obviously, if you got a very good Mirage, they will still probably beat you.
Okay.
but just Mirage might not carry you against this build.
Yeah, and you can disengage from Mirage more comfortably and all that kind of stuff. It still counts, even if you don't win the full matchup because of the build. It still means stuff.
Exactly. And so now for Sigils, final thing. I've been going for a good amount of weapon swap Sigils because you have your fast hands. So you got Sigil of Battle for 4 might on weapon swap, 9-second cooldown. So you could theoretically almost get that on its cooldown every time.
Okay.
By swapping back and forth. Then you've got Sigil of Cleansing, removing condition, also pairs into that trait that we have. Those are both on the Greatsword. I put Sigil of Courage on my axe, which gives you might every 2 seconds on hit.
Okay.
And that is supplementing the fact that you might be getting less might because it's 50% on that instead of Greatsword. And then finally, I put Sigil of Stagnation, actually, as another weapon swap 1 on the Axe. So if you haven't used your Blade Trail on your Greatsword, when you swap to your Axe, it'll automatically cripple all enemies next to you.
Does that proc leg specialist?
That procs leg specialist on all of them.
But leg specialist is only cripple when you immob when you cripple with a skill. Does that really work?
It works.
Wow, I've never tried that. That's a cool little combo.
Yeah, you want to go check it out? I just to make sure I'm not talking out of my ass.
People. I did not know about that. That's really cool if that does work.
Okay, I'm going to siege training.
Okay, I'll go too. I like this waypoint. This is a good one. So you could just hit the golem and then the indestructible golem over here and then weapon swap.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that.
And then we should see.
Boop. Ta-da!
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. Okay, so you get a mini mob just on the swap, and then that lets you land some quick axe stuff straight away.
Okay, so that's basically it. I'm sure you want to just chime in and tell me how I'm a terrible person and everything I just said is wrong.
Actually not. But I do have a lot to say in the why it's bad bit for sure.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. So I think actually you're very close to a meta build. You actually are very close to a meta build.
That's what I want to talk about really quickly, actually. If you want to get into that, I'm wondering, because if I'm just going to be updating my old builds to make them applicable to the current time we are in with the traits and stuff, and I'm just trying to make them good again,
right?
What happens if they turn in? Because I mean, I got to tell you, my original toxic thief build became meta a year after I made it.
Well, but it was very reliant on new balance, though, right? And some of the new stuff like Deadly Ambition.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, what do I do if my once boots bad builds have now become meta in some way?
I don't know. I think yours is close, but it's substantially different enough.
Okay, all right. So
I
we
would
can still
not
call
this,
it boots bad build.
I would still
call. Have to...
I'm going to break your heart here. I would still call this a bad build.
Sweet.
I would not,
okay, no, this makes me happy.
I would not call it meta, but it's close. That's what's.
I don't
funny.
know if you call it meta, that would break my heart.
So it's close. There are a lot of core warriors around, specifically because of the tactics rework. But, a lot of what they're doing really is they're cheesing out the new Warrior's Cunning trait, right? Which we both know is about to be nerfed in the next balance patch anyway. And you've obviously not opted for it. You've gone for more shouts. So you're kind of close to a meta build, but what you've done is you've taken away a lot of stuff that warriors like. Basically, most warriors are just tryhards that enjoy 1v1ing, right? That's what most warriors are. So most people who build craft on warrior and set them up, they really only think within that parameter. What you've done is you've made something that actually supports really well at team fights and still has sort of a somewhat capacity to do its 1v1s. So you've made a more versatile build that does have strengths these other core warriors don't have, right? So I think that there is that side of things. But I think you've made a lot of decisions that, are steps away from the meta for kind of like poor reasons. So, for example, like one of the main things here is going to be...
Oh, you're going to talk about the heal skill.
Okay, yeah, the heal was a good start. There's so much. We can start with your utilities, right? What did you say? You said you were mending. Mending's just bad because you have to actually cast it. So in any real 1v1 situation, someone's going to see you casting it. They're going to interrupt you. If this is a PvP thing, right? If we're talking about PvE, or if we're talking about world versus world where everyone's really slow and they don't watch animations anyway, maybe it's all right. But honestly, heal sig is
against a good thief, you're going to get interrupted.
Not just a thief, pretty much anyone. In a lot of your mirror matchups as well against other warriors, they're going to interrupt it. They're just going to, especially if you're against...
But you could cast it when you're not next to people, so like...
Yeah, but they can close the gap with ludicrous mobility, or they have ranged interrupts. You basically just have added some risk to the build that doesn't need to be there. You've also lost the utility of the Condi counterplay on the resistance, You can't, like, heal sig into a rampage or stuff like that anymore, right? So... Heal sig is just better for sure. But I've tried some mending builds. I've tried cheesing out some berserker builds of mending. I get it, and I think that a lot of people do underestimate mending to an extent. But it's definitely not better. All right.
I would say you're probably right. You could definitely take Signet instead.
Also, what was it you said that you were running? You didn't choose Bull's Rush, did you? You chose something else.
Oh, yeah. Originally, I was running on my mark instead of Bull's Rush, but I have swapped to
Okay,
Bull's
good.
Rush
I mean,
since then.
look, if you are running a core warrior with Shake It Off, Full Great Justice, and Bull's Rush, that's meta, man. That's meta. You definitely do want Bull's Rush. It's very good. I mean, those are 3 really solid utilities. That's fine. Rampage is hard to go wrong. Warriors is a very easy class to figure out. Rampage, good. Even after the nerfs, Rampage is going to be good. So I think that's all fine. When you come to your gear, I think you've made a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes. So many. Avatar, I mean, yeah, I know you heal other people a little bit more, but you should run something like Demo. Demo gives you way bigger crits. It makes you tankier. So all these little heals you do, proportionally, feel like they're healing you just as much because your vitality
But if that's the case, I would probably not be running my Grandmaster trait.
Exactly, yeah. So, I mean, but you could do a hybrid approach as well. For sure, but I mean, yeah, swapping the
what you're describing is the meta, right? You're describing
which is
changing...
better. Which is better.
Well, maybe not after the patch.
No, even after the patch, it is 100% better. It's 100% better to run Demo and swap that Grandmaster for sure. And then the runes as well. What rune did you say you were running? Soldier. I mean, yeah, you get that little bit of extra heal synergy. It's like you've built more to like this team fight compatibility.
That's right.
You're kind of like you are a side noder that I would actually like your build if I was against 5 Condi enemies. I'd actually kind of really like you to like push far or take my home, snowball into mid, and all of a sudden it's, I got my warrior with me. He's going to cleanse the hell out of all of us. But you don't always have that
I'm a
guarantee.
side noter that brings good team fight capabilities.
Yeah, and I think while that has its niche, it's not as universally applicable as someone who will more confidently win 1v1s, burst people down better, and sustain better.
True enough. Yeah.
So, I mean, the meta is the meta what it is for a reason, and these are just the reasons I think that the Avatar Amulet really doesn't, and the Soldier Rune really don't quite do as well as, say, going Strength Demo or something, right? Like, these are just staples that are awesome.
Yeah, but again, that would be a different build.
And then I think you make a mistake in Discipline as well with the Axe Mastery with the Ferocity. I think Burst Mastery is just generally better so that you can get the adrenaline back from that and more rapidly flow with your weapon swaps giving you adrenaline as well. I like Burst Mastery a ton. The thing is, the Axe Mastery is okay if you're Axe, but I don't agree with Axe.
Okay, well then there you go.
Axe Shield. Come on, Shield
I
is
mean,
insane.
again, so you're saying, essentially, the reason why you don't like my build is because every single point you listed were the things that change it to become the meta.
Which is better. The why it's bad, this is what this is. I'm telling you why it's bad. Axe offhand doesn't have as much playmaking as Shield. Shield, you can lock someone down, you can escape, you can sustain until your weapon swap comes up to get you back to a GS3, to get back to a dodge roll.
Like heck.
You can what?
You could cleave like heck with the
You're
Axe.
too vulnerable. You're just going to get interrupted. You're going to get knocked out. You're going to get slammed down. Shield is so much better.
Cleave.
And if you're Shield, then that dictates the other GM swap. I think that Axe offhand is definitely better against worse players, right? That you can get these big opportunities. But overall, playing a warrior without shield is a painful experience, really. And here's the thing. The thing that really sucks about trying to like change things with warrior is the sad thing is I think any meta warrior build will just like 1v1 you down, and that's very sad. When you've got like these big windows for them to interrupt your heal, interrupt your X5, stuff like that.
But you're not dependent on your heal.
Over a long term, you are. You absolutely are. I'll tell you who's not dependent on activating the heal. People with heal sig. That's who's not dependent on activating the heal. Your shouts do run out, you know. So I like the resustain though, like the consistent like, oh, I use mending, I use a shout, I use mending, I use a shout, I use mending, I use a shout. Like literally what I just said would heal you so much. Your build is great for that. And I love the team application of your build, so I think it's got its place.
Exactly.
But yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's not the meta 1v1er because it's a different build.
I think my favorite thing you said here is teaching me about the stagnation sigil with leg specialist. That's like really fun. That's very, very, very cool. It's a really interesting combo.
Well, that's why I made this build.
What did you say your greatsword sigils were again?
Weapon swap, cleansing, battle.
Oh, see, look, no agility on greatsword. Like, what is it? Come on.
I don't need it.
You do.
18 second cooldown.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. You weapon swap. You press F1, they're dead. Warrior, easy. You can do that anyway. Mode. That's what warrior is. You can't do it so easily, though.
Hold on. Arcing Slice, yeah, maybe if you're Berserk. Arcing Slice is not that strong these days.
Arcing Slice is a ludicrous skill. Arcing Slice is
I
a
don't
mental
know
ability.
about
It's
that.
one of the strongest skills Warrior has.
Maybe if you have Demo Amulet.
Maybe, or maybe just if they're below half health, and that's it, and that's not a difficult.
Well, yeah,
condition
it's
to
like
put them in.
5,000 damage if they're below half health.
Dude, 5,000 damage? I mean, even not... I guess maybe on Avatar and Soldier Runes, suddenly it doesn't hit that hard. But that is a criticism as well, I think, of the build. Maybe then Axe rounds it out. So I kind of see how it's kind of flowing.
Exactly.
I like how you've got like an alternate take on what is the meta, but I still think there's solid reasons why the meta is what it is, and that's why I'm the Debbie Downer.
I agree too. I think there are solid reasons why the meta is what it is, because that's the role you would be playing, but this is going to be making a different role for itself.
I think, by the way, for everything I just said, I think your build is more fun to play because it has
Agreed.
more stuff you can think about. I really like builds where there's not just, oh, I'm 1v1ing all the time, or, oh, I'm just, trying to spam damage and just wander around. But, when you're interacting with your allies a bit more, that's always a more fun build to me.
Exactly. I really, some of my favorite things, besides, 1v1ing and killing things, is walking into a situation where one of my allies is running away from someone and you could just, heal them up.
Also, I think the way you built support into a still damaging builds with the Avatar Amulet is really efficient, and I really like that too. It's very reminiscent of what I liked about some old Druid builds. So there you go. I clean up some stuff, that's all. But it's good. It's definitely good.
You know what? The only thing I would change... Okay, so first of all, for full disclosure, our first time we recorded this, I was running on my mark at that time.
Oh, were you? I really remember so little about this now, by the way.
Yeah, I know. And the reason I'm running Bull's Charge now is because of the suggestion you gave me, and I do like it more.
Yeah, Bull's Charge is crazy. I might remember ranting at you about how insanely OP Bull's Rush is. That is possibly the strongest utility skill in the game.
Yeah, it is. I love it, but...
Yeah. I'm glad you're on Bull's Rush team now, like every other warrior ever. That's a utility skill that... There's two things that carry warrior. One is called Greatsword, the other is called Bull's Rush. Come at me, internet. You know I'm not wrong.
I would say Bull's Rush would be stronger if I was running the meta. Right now, it's good for my build just because it's a little more mobility, and lock somebody down potentially for a lot of time, enough time for my whirling axes to get a kill, but probably it won't. And because of that, with the traits that I have, on my mark isn't a terrible choice. It's just probably still not quite as good as Bull's Charge.
Yeah, there's no way. They stun you. Frenzy Bull's Charge, GS1, he's dead. Easy. Frenzy stun broke you, then he's stunned. He can't do anything because you were evading while you landed on him, and then you've got uptime to do one big spike of damage.
Yeah.
Big kills.
Yeah, I do wanna play the non-healing power version of this build at some point, though, the one with the barrier damage.
Well, I mean that's about to be nerfed, so I wonder how that will go. I mean, yours might be slightly more nerf-proof as well. I could say that too.
This is definitely more nerf-proof because what we've seen is that it's not getting nerfed.
Except peak performance, but there's.
But no, that's not nerfed. Just the fall damage.
Yeah. Well, and then it's less spike on it.
Yeah, but that just means you have more damage overall.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember what the numbers was. Anyway, we shouldn't leak the balance discussion into this, probably.
What do you mean leak? It was published.
No. I'm saying leak the subject material. I'm saying it's getting waffly. It's your video. You can have whatever conversation in it you want.
I just think we should completely go over all the balance again on this video, and I'll release it before you release your video.
All right, okay, I'll start. I'm on the warrior section.
Okay, so thanks, man. That was good. What build do you remember of Boots' bad builds that you want me to look at next?
Downstate NG.
Oh, but that's insanely hard to do now.
Give me something with Mad King runes. That's what I'm asking you. It's finally happened, internet. I'm asking you, Boots, for Mad King runes.
Okay, I'll see what I got.
That's what I'm asking for. All right, let's see it.
All right.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And Mad King's runes, I guess, next.
Thank you, guys. See you there. I'm excited.